I think we recorded all of this, and so we'll have a full piece of send out to you guys. Also want to give a quick shout out to Neptune Video, who is going to be putting together a highlight reel for this, and as soon as that's ready, we'll share that with you guys as well. See a lot of you guys taking notes. We got 2 more sets of notes to take, and hopefully you guys are enjoying this. So what I see a lot of you guys eating now, and what you guys ate a lot of before, was three-way, and currently it looks like Handsome Biscuit. And about 3 years ago, I met John, who decided to be a little funky, I guess, and open a sweet potato biscuit shop in a place where people would say that you're not supposed to open a funky sweet potato biscuit shop. And it's done really, really well. And I can't remember how we first met, but he told me the story, and he came to Hatch and told some of our companies a story about how he opened Handsome Biscuit. And since then, I've told as many people as I can that John is the most resourceful person I know. And I just told him that, I think, for the first time, and I think he was shocked that I said it. But being resourceful is so important in an early stage company and a growing company. And John's going to share some of his stories about not only tapping the Rockies, little shout out there, but just how he's now been able to not only grow Handsome Biscuit, but since then open Field Guide, and then most recently a new concept called Toast. And so one thing that I've never told him, but I believe this, is that you single-handedly, as a business and an owner, are changing a community in Park Place. And I think that's absolutely incredible. And thank you for growing our community. I know at least one person who's clapping lives there, and he's happy that his home value is going up for it. And so, John, take it away.
All right. So, this is a good word. All right. What an introduction. I guess, did we go around and give everybody's name? Let's start, I'm just kidding. So, what we're here for today is called Execute, right? So I guess the assumption is that a bunch of you are already sort of started, right? Who has a company that has either started recently or you're going to start a company soon? Anybody? A few really, really excited hands. Well, Zach told me last night that I couldn't have slides here. I was really upset. Not true. I've never had slides before. But I think, so there's a big distinction between getting up the sort of gumption, the interest, I don't know how you call it, it's probably not an appropriate word, but the idea that you want to start a business and then actually deciding to make something happen. And that's sort of what we're talking about today, right? So for anybody that has an idea that they're passionate about, it's easy to get up the sort of gumption to want to expand upon that particular idea. So for example, if it's and as Zach said, I am not involved directly, maybe not even indirectly in the tech world, but if you have an idea about a widget, which I think Chris was talking about earlier, it's easy to get up the gumption or the wherewithal to get oriented around that particular idea, right? So I really want to make a pencil sharpener, which I believe he referenced, and I'm really passionate about pencil sharpeners. So I really want to figure out the exact angle and how to make the blade sharp and all of that, right? What's really most important at the startup phase is figuring out how you're going to sell pencil sharpeners. And I don't mean that from a sales point of view. I mean it from the point of view of connecting with your customers. Emerson knows what I'm talking about. So staying grounded in your customers. Don't my first pitch tonight, this afternoon, is going to be to really implore you to stay connected at the startup phase to your end user. So I'm going to pause there for a second, tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in Virginia Beach, moved away for a while to New York City, decided to think I could race cars. It was a really humbling experience, but it was a lot of fun. Started a business up there, moved back here because I was excited about getting into real estate. And real estate, to me, I don't have any idea what it meant. I didn't know at the time. I'm sure now, really, but got involved in commercial lending, got involved in flipping houses, which is a whole bunch of fun, and then learned a lesson in diversification, lost a whole bunch of money, and decided to kind of make a turn. Got involved in restaurants and really sort of found my passion. So I don't have a huge company. I have an assembly of very small companies. We do $1.5 million a year in gross revenue. Hopefully this year we're going to push to 1.6 million. I'm just kidding. Probably, hopefully 2 million. So really pretty small in general, but really super passionate about what we do. Passionate for a couple of reasons, because I think we are excited about the business aspect of things and making money, and also really excited about community building. So back to why you should stay in touch with the people who are going to decide to pull money out of their pocket and spend money on whatever you do. One time, hopefully 2 times, maybe 3 times, maybe a lot more. It's easy to get sidetracked into what you really love. And I was talking about that earlier. So you get sidetracked into the pencil sharpener. It's great. That's sort of what makes your company, right? You didn't start your company to sort of sell things. You started it because you love pencil sharpeners, right? So who's heard of Eric Ries? Lean startup, sort of. So some of the philosophy is very much based around what is the fastest way you can get your pencil sharpener to market in the least expensive way that is going to produce a product that you can get a true representation from your customer back about. I'm sure that made sense. So is there a pencil sharpener that you can produce that might not be the ultimate pencil sharpener that you want? It might not be as sharp as you want, but you're going to be able to get feedback about it, right? And you're not going to leverage your entire parents' retirement and lose it. So what's the fastest way that you can do that and get a response back? Why is that valuable? Well, it's valuable because you end up with a smaller machine that's able to move much more quickly, respond much more quickly to the data you're getting back, and take action that's appropriate. So what happens when you decide that the pencil sharpener that you want to build has to be the sharpest, the best looking, and let's say the most affordable pencil sharpener ever? What happens is you spend a lot of time and a lot of money, hopefully not your parents, in building this pencil sharpener, and at the end of the day, nobody cared except for you and the people who really love pencil sharpeners. So stay in touch with the people that are going to be pulling money out of their pocket to buy your product. So Zach said, I'm one of the most, or maybe the most resourceful person he's ever met. I don't know what that means. I told him I thought that might be a compliment. For me, it means 2 things. One is a personal thing, and that is using the experiences that I've had throughout my life to be able to inform, augment, expand on what I'm doing business-wise. I think Chris mentioned, I didn't see everybody, but obviously I saw Chris's. Everybody's talk today, but Chris mentioned do what you're good at, and the rest of it, figure out how to have somebody else do it, or figure out how to get information from somebody else to do it. Maybe you can afford to have somebody else do it. But I think he's right. And so my resourcefulness is sort of deciding what I like and what my experiences have been, and really expanding on this. So that's the personal side. The other side is suck it up. I think all too often we, including myself, get excited about starting businesses and having ideas, and really, at the end of the day, there needs to be less, let me figure out how to hire somebody else to do this, and just suck it up and figure it out. You don't get paid for your ideas ever. Never do you ever get paid for your ideas in this world, ever. I might be wrong, but that I ever know about. You get paid because you make something of your idea. Do something with it, right? So being resourceful has you sort of have the burden. If you want to be resourceful and you don't want to just be, I don't know, someone who's going to direct some large portfolio of money, that hasn't been my experience. But if that's who you want to be, and you want to sort of simply direct and not get in and do and figure it out and make things happen, well, I guess then go for it. But that hasn't been my experience. My experience has been jump in, make something happen. If it means that you need to figure out how to put a nail through a 2x4, figure it out. If it means you need to figure out how to write a line of script, figure it out. If it means you need to go online and find some legal document, figure it out. I'm not suggesting do anything foolish. What I'm saying is figure it out. Don't analyze until you can't do anything else. Don't try and figure out somebody else to do everything. Figure it out yourself and do it. Take it on. Find somebody. You have plenty of friends. Be resourceful. So, everybody's very quiet. I love it. So what's the suggestion?
Have an option.
I think it's a very valid suggestion. Certainly in the United States, white meat is considered a delicacy, probably borderline. There are two reasons why we use dark meat. One, it's more moist, and two, it's cheaper. So for those reasons specifically, we've chosen not to take on white meat. We also have a 600 square foot facility that does not allow us to have an abundance of choices. Regardless, even if we had a 6,000 square foot facility, one of our mantras is that we like to keep our customers free from the burden of choice, which is maybe different from historically, sort of growing up. And I feel like if you go to many places nowadays, if we're just talking about restaurants in general, it's like the more products we can have, the better. The more, so what we see ourselves as are curators. So we're looking at chicken, if that's what we're talking about, and we're saying, you know what? There are other options for a chicken sandwich. You can go get white meat. You can go get, I don't know, all sorts of things. Chick-fil-A makes an awesome, really not PC chicken sandwich. However, so what we have said though is that we're gonna collect an assembly of things, be they drinks, because we have 2 or 3 canned sodas and a soda we make. So we have a very limited selection of drinks, very limited selection of food. But when I go into a place, I don't like to, sort of roll out the scroll of menu options and say, hey, what do I want? So I'm not saying that we couldn't make a good white meat chicken sandwich.
And I love what you do.
No. I'm not. It's a great question. It's been asked many times.
I'm trying to help you out here.
We have so I think it's a great question. I don't think it's not valid. I think it's good. It's just not necessarily what we set out to do. Who else has a question?
I'd like to know why you selected park.
Good question. I love that question. Okay, so I live in Park Place. I love Park Place. So I think I might have mentioned before, I moved to New York City and did a whole bunch of things. So, and when I moved back, I grew up in Virginia Beach, and I grew up in this very sort of white bread part of town, very lower middle class, and I was like, I do not want to go back to that. I'm not interested in being involved in that at all in my life. No offense to anyone who is. There's nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't what I was into. So I moved to Park Place because I could afford it, and because of the geographic sort of location, right? Where can you, if you sit down and look at a map and you drop a ball and you say, hey, sort of here's the center of culture and diversity in Hampton Roads, Norfolk for sure, probably Hampton Roads. Where can I live as close as possible and afford? That's where it was. So I moved, we built our home, moved in January of 2010, and really have been super excited the entire time. I will say the spot that Hanson Biscuit is now was vacant for, I don't know, it seems undeterminable, but people say 5 to 7 years, something like that. And it had all these grates on the windows, like security grates, these welded sort of crazy things. And we started out, well, we signed the lease and didn't know what we were going to do there, and sort of figured that out along the way. And really thought we were going to leave those grates up. They're kind of like, you know, we're probably going to get robbed. I mean, we're on the wrong side of the tracks. Its crime rate is statistically not any higher than it is in Ghent, but we're sort of around what would be considered to be not as safe of an area. Well, at sort of the very last moment, we said, you know what, screw it, we're taking them all down, taking them to recycling. We're just going to sort of embrace it and own it, and that's what we did. So that's my story in Park Place. Who else?
What street are you on?
We're on 2 streets. We're on Colonial and 26th, right at the corner.
I think it's great. I think it's great to put your other one across.
Right. Okay, so I have a question. Somebody can answer. How much time do I have? Am I over already?
9 minutes.
Yeah.
Over or under?
Under.
Okay, cool. All right, so I have a question. So I was talking about staying in touch with your sort of target demographic, whoever your customers are going to be. Who has an example of how they can stay in touch? That's pretty hard, huh?
Actually, I started a meetup for bakers. My software is Bakery Butlers for managing software for bakeries. So I had a meetup. My first one was this past Monday, right there in the water, with some home bakers in there.
Awesome. So tell me more about what kind of baking do you want? So you want to have your business is just a meetup? Or is
No,
it
my business is software as a service
Okay,
that bakeries can use to manage their orders and their inventory.
gotcha. Okay, so
So I started the meetup so I could meet home bakers to eventually build relationships with them, convert them to home bakeries instead of just home bakers.
okay, I like it. Who else?
Twitter, comment cards, Facebook, any type of social media helps. But I think in the restaurant business, I feel like comment cards as well.
Yeah, I would say, so it's interesting. I think, so P&Ls and balance sheets, which Chris also touched on, those are great ways to look at historically and typically in a restaurant, we do things, or most of us hopefully do things based around 4-week accounting periods, which is different than a month. But the difference in a 4-week accounting period is that you have an equal number of weekends in your sort of financial model, which is very important in a restaurant because, as you can imagine, most people spend their dollars on weekend days, and when you own 5 weekends in an accounting period, it really skews your data. So those types of things are great as far as figuring out what you've done in the past. It's sort of a not up to the minute way to make decision if you're looking for actionable data. A great way to have actionable data is through social media. So you have real-time data on how people are interacting and with your product, or with at least the face that you're putting on your product. So I think I'm agreeing.
Are you getting a lot of likes on
I have no idea. I think that's based around Virginia Pilot advertising. Is anybody here from Virginia Pilot? Okay, cool. But nobody else? Cool.
She's after that.
Right, so it's paid. So the more you put in,
Yeah, okay.
you can get gold if you're looking real hard.
You can also get write-ins without actually being paid to do the contest.
Mm-hmm. Which probably never happens, but
No,
anyways.
it does happen. But you have to push really hard though. Depends on if you think it's worth it or
On the question about how to
Stay connected.
and stay connected, face to face.
Right?
So I think in this age of technological options, people often face to face interactions.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's, to the extent that you have a business where you can stay connected face to face, it's very important. So let me make one more push to
I was gonna say, you've got a guy who works at Hanson Biscuit. I live on 31st Street.
Okay.
I've never really had like a meaningful conversation with him, but he remembers my name. Remembers that I like your soda. Remembers that I like, 2 sandwiches that I like. I'm in there probably once every 2 to 3 weeks, maybe most. But I mean, just having a good person out there out front like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely helps.
You know what I'm talking about probably too, right? So, I don't know his name.
There's probably one of two guys. And a short guy that's a little more.
A little short, yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
there you go.
So I got one that I think would be applicable to other folks, but it's different from what everybody else says far, I think. And of course, I'm in the disabilities world, but day to day I don't get to work with people with disabilities, right? It's too hard. I'm trying to keep the stadium open. Every year there's a conference called the Arc of Virginia, basically. It's an advocacy organization for persons with disabilities, and they have a conference. So I volunteered to be the DJ and host a club night and karaoke. So all of a sudden I am embedded with the staff, the customers, other service providers, government officials. We're all there with black lights and open music on the dance floor, having the time of our lives. And for me, that gets me generated up again. I know why I'm looking at Excel all day, keep people's jobs. And so you could apply that anything. I mean, in the restaurant, go on a restaurant tour and just, I'm just the average Joe and listen to what people are saying.
Sure.
And so I think embed yourself with the customer without them knowing
Definitely.
that you're there.
Definitely.
It's the secret boss.
Right. So I think that's a great way to sort of stay connected. How much time? 4 minutes.
There's also, there's a guy in London, owns a coffee shop there, real high end, not Starbucks, but the real high end, like gourmet bistro type coffee. And instead of offering a loyalty card for his customers, he has a 10 punch card where if you go to the 10 other locations within the vicinity, get it punched by all of them, then come back and get free coffee from me.
Right. That's very cool. That's super cool. Really like that. I think so. To take it one half step maybe further. So we're talking about staying connected with your customer, and there've been a lot of good ways you guys talk about. I really love that way of staying connected with who is paying for your product. So the hard part is to now put yourself in their shoes, right? So back to the pencil sharpener. When I stand on this side of the table and I say, I'm interested in buying pencil sharpeners, but I really don't, I just wanted to sharpen my pencil. I don't really care that it's the best ever. Or, I have some interest in that. You need to tailor your product as you start out right now according to what that person wants. I'll give you a quick example and I'll be done. So I have a construction company that still exists today. We do very design-centric, sort of green type construction. Very few projects a year, 1 to 2 projects a year. When I started the business, when I started to try and do more high performance building, I was really excited about, hey, how green can I make this house? How energy efficient can I make this house? How much can I sort of impress myself with how well this house can perform, right? And at the end of the day, who gives a? Not many people in this market is the answer, right? So it wasn't that people in this market don't care at all about design-centric or energy-efficient houses, but there's an extent to which they care about it, right? So as soon as I spend money and my time and my effort in overbuilding my product for what the local market is not demanding, I'm crashing my business. So stay in touch with what your customer is demanding. It's easy for all of us, whether it's a pencil sharpener or a human services company or a restaurant, to get super excited about overbuilding their product, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day. And people tell me, they come to me and say, hey, I really want this to be sort of the best. I want this to be the restaurant with the most ever local organic food ever. I'm gonna get organic. Nothing that you can get off my menu is not gonna be organic. And you know what happens? You drive your food cost up so high that you can't bring organic local food to the masses because you're going to go out of business. So stay in touch with what people are asking. Fulfill your mission, whatever your personal mission is, however sharp you want to make your pencil sharpener, fulfill that by having a balance of what's being demanded and what you want to put out. I need another beer. Any more questions? Are we done? Yes.
So, how do you decide what your next business is going to be?
Man, I am not short on ideas, but the challenge is sort of sifting through them, right? And so I think through the networks you create, or for me, the networks that I create and the ideas that I have, and sort of, I don't know, that's a long sort of answer. I think it's about what pushes the mission forward for me. And right now, it's more community building than anything, mostly because that's kind of where my passion lies. So to the extent that it's community oriented and I think I'm not going to lose money, I think that's where my next business is.
How's Toast going?
Super fun. Awesome. You should come out. We're open Friday and Saturday nights, starting at 5 p.m. Sorry, I rearranged it earlier.
Oh, all right. A little unorthodox, that's fine. Just like sweet potato biscuit. If you guys haven't had one yet, definitely check them out. We got one last entrepreneur coming. Let's put that in my pocket. This is Chris Hill. I met Chris, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, just by eating his food. And, I think there's something that is really important in communities. Successful communities typically have really good food. And they have the best chips, I think, that are in town. If you haven't tried them, there at least was
I think
bowl
they're
full.
gone.
They're all gone. Sorry if you didn't try them. But it's like Parmesan cheese chips. They're really awesome. But gotten more close to Chris over the last few months. We both spoke at a TEDx a few months ago, and he's talked about how he's taken him being a chef and turned that into really growing his business and has gone through some really good big pluses and really big minuses. And after this, he's hopping on a plane headed to South by Southwest to cater a meal from one of the most successful, internet famous people, Gary Vaynerchuk. If you're not familiar with him, but he's going to be doing a cocktail hour for him in, where's that, Austin. So, Chris Hill, take it away.
Thanks, man. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to thank Zach for creating today and the Hatch in general, and creating a platform where people with like minds can get together and share and collaborate and bring ideas to life. I'm a chef, business owner, entrepreneur now. I think all of our goal is to do two things. It's to be able to do what we really love, to do what we're really passionate about, and at the same time, be able to make a living, make a life out of doing that. And over the last couple of years, I've found a way to do that. But before I do that, I want to kind of take a step back, walk you a little bit through my journey and how I've gotten here and some of the lessons I've learned and what I think moving forward we all kind of need to look at in terms of the businesses we build and how we relate to our customers and the communities around us. I went to the University of Alabama, got a double major in English and Spanish, realized early on that those 2 degrees weren't going to get me anything. So I went back and got a master's in marketing. I'm from Atlanta, so I moved back to Atlanta and got in consulting. I was super pumped to get into advertising. I show up the first day, wearing my suit and tie and ready to rock and roll. After a year and a half of doing spreadsheets that I hated and working on Excel spreadsheets, I guess, I realized I couldn't do it anymore. I was sitting at a desk all day and I hated it. I'm super ADD, and I worked in restaurants all through high school, college, at the time I had a catering company with my brother. So I quit, moved up here to Virginia and opened up 3-Way Cafe over here on Plume Street. And since then, that was about 6 years ago, have grown that business. And along the way, I created another brand called Bachelor Kitchen, which is a online, really kind of where my personal brand intersects with food and cooking. And I've had the opportunity to cook in various events. Like Zach said, I'm headed to South by Southwest tomorrow morning and get to travel around doing TV stations all over the kind of East Coast. So it's really cool to see. And I've been able to build a following that people actually appreciate what I do, and I'm able to engage and connect with people in a way that's really important to me. I'm in the process of opening another restaurant in Atlanta and excited to kind of see where that goes. But along the way, as I think we all, as entrepreneurs and business people, have encountered and have heard today, that there's challenges that I faced when I opened up the restaurant. I was, most of us starting out, and don't really have a name for ourselves. I was hustling my ass off. I was working at nights to pay the bills to kind of stay afloat, and then working the restaurant for 8 hours a day, doing that. Not getting paid for really the first 3 years or so that we were open. Plus, I was working on recipes, working on writing, working on content for my Bachelor Kitchen brand. So, long story short, I was working 100-hour weeks, kind of just getting by for what seemed like forever. It was probably a couple of years, and I think we've all been there before, where we feel like, God, I don't know how much more of this I can take. My back's against the wall. Like, I can't pay bills. I have my own set of payroll stories that they're a nightmare. To start my Bachelor Kitchen brand, I took money that my mom passed away. She had left for us, so I took that money and put it into building this business. And then not too long after that, I kind of got stabbed in the back by a business partner. So it's kind of one thing after the next, and really saying, how am I going to make this work? What am I going to do? And I think the first thing to do is to know that if you can take a step back and say, I believe in this enough to make sure that I'm going to keep going no matter what. I believe in myself. I believe in this idea, this product, this service. And if I can take a step back and breathe, and allows me to focus better, allows me to connect to the work better, and in turn, I think helps create the business that we're all trying to get to. So I think knowing that the challenges are going to come up, the issues are always there. That's part, I think, the fun of creating something is building something that takes hard work, that takes showing up every single day to put your heart and soul into. And I just want to encourage all you guys, if you're out there dealing with all these hurdles, with all these struggles, to just keep showing up, to not give in to, the world says you're supposed to live this kind of 9-to-5 life. You're supposed to have the picket fence and have the family and the kids and retire by 65. But maybe it's not that simple. And maybe we can find other ways to create success and create fulfillment in our lives. And Zach mentioned the TED Talk that I gave with him last summer, I guess it was. And I've spent a lot of time the last couple of years really studying and researching and figuring out what success means, not only for me personally, but kind of out there in the world. And I think it's hey there.
All day.
And that's it, folks. So that's a good beer sip opportunity. But I've realized that that part of what is exciting is the climb, is being able to do the work you love, and at the end of the day, knowing that you put your heart and soul into something, and not being 70 or 80 or 90 years old and saying, hey, I wish I would have done this, I would have tried that, and just kind of pushing all your chips in the pot, cutting the ropes behind you, and giving it a shot. But here we are in business. We're at a kind of a paradigm shift. It's the biggest culture shift we've probably ever seen in the world. It's our industrial revolution. You know, I think the last kind of big shift was when Henry Ford invented the car, and the factories kind of got rolling. But here we are today with social media, with the way we interact on our smartphones, and the way we connect with people is so different than ever before. And we need to understand the customer, as we've heard today before. We also need to understand our product and how to best interact with those people in a way that we can tell our story. At the end of the day, as business owners, as brands, as human beings, that's our job. And if people can't connect with what we're doing, they can't connect with our story and what we are about, then they're going to find some other way to do it. You know, we all have our phones and we're scrolling through our Facebook feeds, our Twitter feeds, and what's going to make that potential customer, consumer, or person out there that's following you, that's hopefully paying attention, what's going to make them pay attention? And if you can give them something of value, something that they can connect with, then they're going to say, oh, you know, this guy's pretty cool. And, you know, I've been able to do that through my recipes, but also through writing. I had the opportunity, I wrote an article on actually this medium.com back in October, and it went pretty crazy viral. It was a letter I wrote to chefs, and over the course of the last 4 or 5 months, it's gotten 500,000 views. And right after it started going viral, I got an email from somebody, and then another one. And over the first month and a half, I probably got 500 emails. And I started responding to those first couple ones, and I said, you know what? I don't know how many are going to come in, but I'm going to respond to every single person that takes the opportunity to connect with me. And as a result, they believe a lot more in who I was. They were able to connect with the story I wrote to them, but then they see that I'm real and I'm human, and as a result, I've been able to create additional following, additional people that believe in what I have to offer, and believe in who I am. I think we have to, in telling our story, be genuine and authentic. We have to put it out there in a way that people know that we're real. Not a funny example. I'm on Instagram, and a lot of similar kind of followers, people you connect with, are in the chef world. And there's this one lady who has a story probably similar to mine. I think she has a blog, and she does some TV stuff and shares her recipes out there. And she liked like a dozen of my pictures in a row, and that's cool, that's great. And she sees a couple comments, and I start to see her interact more. So I interact back with her and say, hey, thank you so much. And long story short, I realized there's a pattern developing. Over the course of probably 2 or 3 months, she would leave a comment on various photos, and it always have hashtag impressive. And then I realized one day, probably about a month ago, that 2 or 3 of my pictures had the exact same comment of hashtag impressive from the same lady. And I realized here's somebody that's trying to connect, but in the completely wrong way. And there's so many businesses and brands and people out there that are doing the exact same thing. So many restaurants out there are saying, hey, here are our happy hour specials. Come check us out. Here's buy my book, give to my charity, whatever it is. How can we first get them to believe in what we're doing, and then on the back end, hopefully get the sale? The guy Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm going to do this event for the weekend. He talks a lot about relationships in business and how he always wants to have 51% of the relationship on his side, giving the other person 49%. Meaning, if he can put in 51% of the energy, he's still getting 49% return, which is great. But if you have that 51% that you're putting in, you can then leverage that down the road to buy his book, for me, come to my restaurant, or whatever it is. And in a similar way, I tweeted out yesterday, hey guys, I'm coming to Austin for South by Southwest. I will be there Saturday and Sunday. If anybody knows of a place to stay, let me know. And within an hour, I got a message from somebody in an email, and a girl said, hey, I got the couch you can stay on. And I said, great. How much is it? And she said, I'm not going to charge you anything. Just come on out. I know you're probably spending a lot of money over the course of the weekend, and sit this PDF of a bunch of things with her house, with her dog. If the dog gets out, here's what you should do. Here's you should park, all those kinds of things. And here's a lady that she didn't have anything to gain from this. She wasn't making any money. There wasn't really a business transaction. But who knows where the relationship could go? Maybe she's a designer. Maybe she's in web development, whatever it is. Putting yourself in a position where you can leverage any relationship later on down the road, not in a selfish way, but in a way that shows who you are, I think is super important. And I think moving forward, that's kind of the way that we have to really connect with the world. There's so many choices out there. How am I doing something that's different? How am I doing something that's unique, that's interesting, that hasn't been done before? Or if there's something similar, how can I do it in a way that is connected back to who I am? And I think a lot of that's being self-aware, knowing, as we kind of heard earlier today, of what am I good at? What are my strengths? What are the things I'm not good at? And really tapping into those things that are your core strengths, and then using those to create the best businesses possible. So, I think we're really at the cusp of something huge, and this whole internet thing, this whole social media is not going anywhere. And we all have the opportunity to build platforms, to build companies, build communities, as long as people are out there that want to connect with us. So I just encourage everyone to look at your life, your business, and know that the opportunity is there if you take it. The problem is so many of us get so excited about the idea. I like to use the analogy of a wedding versus a marriage. So many of us have our friends, and maybe even some of us has done it. Not me yet, thank God, but
It's recording.
yeah, we'll block that out somehow. But we're all so caught up in the idea of the wedding, of having this wonderful, great day, and it's gonna be perfect, and we totally forget about down the line this relationship that needs being attended to, and needs being built. And we're so, I think we so get caught up in what we think can be a possibility, and get lost doing that versus actually building something that takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of energy, it takes going all in. And I think if we can do that, stay grounded, stay focused on who we are, what we're good at, and try and connect with people around us, then we can build amazing businesses. So that's what I got. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Yeah.
What brought you to Norfolk from Atlanta? Like a larger city, really.
Yeah. I was originally planning on being here for about 6 months or so. I had some plans back in Atlanta, open a restaurant. They fell through. But my cousin actually owns Baxter's, which I don't like to claim per se, because his idea of restaurants and food are very dissimilar from mine. But he and I went in business together. Yeah. But yeah, I was initially came up here to work for him for about 4 to 6 months, which was going to be learning kind of the office operational side of things. I would take that back with me and do a farm table thing back in Atlanta.
Okay.
Which in retrospect, I'm glad I didn't, because I didn't have the experience. I probably wouldn't have succeeded the way I could now.
Did you like the area when you came? Is that what kept you here?
To be honest, I didn't like the area. It was just very it's very unique. I think Amy can agree with the fact that it's not your typical market. I feel like it was very kind of disconnected. You had all these 7 cities that were vicinity wise connected by tunnels and by bridges, and by military, but I felt like the market didn't really appreciate the food that I really wanted to offer, and but I started. We opened the restaurant. I started getting some friends and all those kinds of things. So it started to kind of make it home.
And does it feel like it's connecting a little bit more? Like,
I think so. I think having people like John and Gint and the Arts District and people like that bringing good blood down this way has definitely helped. Absolutely. Yeah.
How'd you come up with the name Drew Bay Cafe?
Oh man, we were yeah. Our shirt says something like that. There's originally 3 of us owners. There's only 2 of us now. So there's like already 5 guys. There's already so we're just kind of playing around and like, oh well, the older demographic didn't really seem to get like the innuendo and it felt like it was a little bit of a talking point.
Anyone else?
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you so much, Chris. All right, we're almost done. Almost done. Promise. All right, so this has been fun. I think being able to bring together people that don't normally come together is so important in a community like this. And so at the beginning of the day, we asked you guys to fill out those pieces of paper and fill it with your goals before. Then spend the day getting some of your favorite quotes. And then now we'd like for you guys to say, what are your goals now? Have you guys learned something new? Do you have the same goals from before? Or are there new things that you guys want to do? Have you been able to take and actually execute immediately on some new things? And so spend a couple of minutes doing that. And then we'll wrap things up. What can you execute on now from the things that you learned today from the 6 presenters? You already on?
Oh.
So a quick story while you guys are writing that as to another reason why we're here. I know at the beginning of the day I said I was sleeping, or I had just woken up and I said, what am I going to do in between Startup Address and Start Norfolk? I don't want to be bored for 9 months. So we came up with this. And so about 2 years ago, I had an idea. I was at maybe even 3 years ago, I was at a conference in Omaha, and they called it Big Omaha, and it was one of the most amazing conferences I'd ever been to. And they had 600 people, I guess mostly from the Omaha area, and brought in outside speakers. For the first 2 or 3 years, actually, Gary Vaynerchuk was there. He wasn't there the year I was there. And so when I came back, I decided that next year I wanted to do something similar. And I thought that because of Start Norfolk and the fact that we had just done 200 or 300 people, that we would be able to do that as a conference and not an event or not a competition. And so decided to put on a conference called Drop Anchor. And the idea was that we'll go do it at the Roper Theater. We'll get 1,100 people. We'll have people take off 2 days of work. They'll spend $300, and we're going to make a crap ton of money. We're going to have the best time of our life. And we're going to show off everything. And honestly, it was going to be a pretty damn good event. What we found out was that people weren't willing to take off 2 days of work. People weren't willing to pay $300. No one knew of the speakers. No one cared for those speakers. And we didn't tell the story as to why it was important for our community. It doesn't matter what part of it, our community as a whole, to be at an event like that. And so about three weeks before, 24 days before, it was my birthday, and I'm having dinner with my lady, and it finally clicked to me that this isn't working, and I'm going to have to do something. And I sit there, and I think it was at a new restaurant called Chow, which is now in North Cali. And I was really excited to be there. And then at some point in the middle, I think it was right around dessert, I was like, oh crap, I'm going to have to do something about my event. I don't know what that is. I'm either going to have to go like gung-ho and somehow sell 600 tickets, or we're going to have to do something else. And so our break-even point, if we put on the event, was 600 tickets. So the economics of it were very poor at the beginning. We had sold 30 tickets. And so I woke up, wrote an email to a couple of people and said, I think the headline was, what the hell am I going to do? So I brought together like 5 or 6 people, kind of gave to them the situation and said, if we can't sell a crap ton of these in the next 3 hours, we're not going to, so we're going to have to do something. So called people, tried, said, look, will you just take, I think I even called Dominion Enterprise and said, can we take one of your floors? Right, we'll do it for $1,000. And I don't think they answered the phone at that point or something. Something happened. And so I had to cancel an event. And so to make a long story short, is I still think we can get to that point of telling those stories. But instead of trying to give the world first, figure out if that's what people want here. And so we did the complete 180. Instead of trying to create a big thing, let's tell the stories of local people here. And this is where you guys are today. Right? So can we do this again and build that back up to something bigger? And so I hope that today you guys not only learn from other people, but realize that this is our experiment too. This is what we think. We all have this grand, as John was saying, we all have ideas and they want to be bigger, but we don't know that that's what other people are willing to attend, to pay for, to be a part of. And so we made it very small intentionally to say, can we get that core group of people? And then we'll survey you guys and ask you guys and maybe try it again and see if maybe next time instead of 30 people, we'll try and get 45 people. And then maybe we'll try and do 60 or see where it goes. But I think it's so important for us to really constantly be communicating with our customers. Because if we're building what we want, that may work. But if we're building what other people want and need, you're more likely to get the result that you want, which is a more successful business. And so I'd love to hear if any of you guys are willing to share with us your goals from before and where your goals are now if they've changed. And so maybe 2 of you, if that's changed, and maybe what some of your favorite quotes were from the day. I know the Spock one was pretty damn good. I invested in, or I believed in the guy in the mirror was a pretty darn good one. Don't let someone else take the joy out of your life in business. That was pretty good, pretty meaningful. Those are 3 that I can think of right now. That's pretty good.
Customers from the burden of choice.
Yeah.
For your customers from the burden of choice. That was beautiful. What else?
Keep showing up.
Keep showing up.
I like that build the stadium, so that they're able to win the game.
I thought we were going to get through the whole day without Ashbrook barking, and we got close. I know Dean is going to say something about it. That's okay. I'm just kidding. So, what were your goals before, and what about now? Has anyone's changed? Is anything more actionable from it? Joshua, anything? Can't have that nice of a smile and not want to fill in one.
My initial goal was to grow my startup by adding subscribers. But after hearing everybody, I think my goal was to connect with as many of my potential users as possible,
right,
and then convert them. But find out what their needs are first. Get to know them. Share my story.
So connect with those and learn what they need, and then create a solution for that.
Don't over-engineer.
Don't over-engineer. One last one. 2 more.
I'm not a new entrepreneur. We've had our business for 21 years now. We're going on 22nd year this year. And it wasn't a matter of goals before and after, but what I wrote is a renewed sense of excitement about business and entrepreneurship. Because you can get so tired of it.
Sure.
And get so caught up in the just running of the daily business and the payroll and all that stuff. But so this was good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, I would like to add just the fact that I feel the need to become more creative and innovative in my profession. I'm an accountant, for those who know, and people have this perception about accounting. Accountancy is very conservative, which it is, but it's very cut and dry. And I'm a very colorful person, and I like to create. And I've learned that I got to take these chances for me to get to the next level. And I was just thinking about ways I can continue to do that, but most of all, stripping the process to make it simple. And, and I've done certain things to do that, and people really have responded to it. Particularly that one service I have, the exact mobile tax intake, and people like that. They love it. The fact they don't have to go downtown, park somewhere, come in the office, find somewhere.
Make it easy for them.
Yeah, make it so easy. I come to you. Okay?
Absolutely. So great.
About the technology. It's awesome.
Real quick, just want to thank Wayne and Neptune for doing a video today. Also, absolutely, we'll send that out as soon as it's done. Also, the 80/20, wherever Eric is, right from him, of course, for providing the liquid refreshments, and to Handsome Biscuit and to Three Way Cafe. If you guys haven't been to those places, absolutely check them out. And so we'll be polling you guys, just like we said we're going to. You know, what else are you guys looking for? These are the stories of people that I happen to know, but we know there's more stories like this. And so what I think is so great about today is coming in here, the majority of us didn't know more than one person that was a speaker. And so when you can learn from at least 5 other people, I think it's an incredible thing. Hear their stories and ways that they've been able to grow. So we're going to be here for the next 30 or 45 minutes. We've got a couple more refreshments. And please meet and mingle with each other. We made these pieces of paper thicker so that if you want to throw them away, you have to really think about that beforehand, right? And so you put notes on there, because you know you go to places and you take the notes and throw them away. If you really want to do something, you wrote it down, there's probably a reason why. And so I recommend that you guys look at these tonight, tell someone the stories of people that you heard from, and then over the next few days, really try and execute on those ideas. So thank you guys for being here. Spend a couple more minutes with us, and execute.
Thank you.